Hey, welcome back to another episode of the She's Making an Impact podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Ngom. Today, we've got a bonus episode for you. So this month has been, I love seeing you dance in the background. Okay. This month has been Funnel February, and it's been really fun diving in and teaching you guys all about funnels. And I'm like, in order to have a successful funnel, you need to have the mindset that's going to make everything happen, because success is like 90% mindset, 10% strategy. And so I'm like, who better than to bring on my friend, Brad Bizjack, to come talk about mindset so you can crush your funnels. We've had Brad on the podcast before. He's just one, he has an incredible heart. I actually wrote this in an email. I think of him as me, just in male form. Like we're both super like energetic, high energy, kind of wild. And he's literally drinking his protein shake out of the blender with a straw right now and dancing around. Like yeah, you're hilarious. I love it. He has worked with Brendan Burchard, High Performance. He has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs, helping them become the best version of themselves and become ultimate high performers so they can crush it in their businesses. So, Brad, hello.
Hello there, my friend. Thank you for introducing me as the guy that's dancing around with a protein shake in his hand.
Well, they know me as the girl that's usually like in a hoodie, just chilling with a glass of wine. So it's like we balance each other out.
Pretty sure we're best friends.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I know we wanted to talk about the Success GPS and kind of dive into that.
Yes.
Before we do that, can you talk to us about why all of this stuff? So obviously I mentioned it's Funnel February, why the mindset piece is so important, and like what shifts could we expect if we implement what you're going to teach?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I see a lot of the time with entrepreneurs is they consistently seek the strategy, right? And the strategy is important. If John the baker spent 20 years perfecting the world's greatest chocolate cake, you could create that exact same chocolate cake in a day if he gave you the recipe. And so the recipe, the strategy is really important. But what a lot of times people miss is that if you go into the right strategy with the wrong mindset, you won't apply it, or you'll half-ass apply it and it won't work for you. Yep. Right? So what we need to do as entrepreneurs is we need to master the stories that go on behind the scenes and our own motivations and drives and how we feel internally, so that the best version of us shows up to the strategies, to the funnels, so that they can actually work for you. So this is like getting to the root of what makes it all possible.
Amazing. Can you give an example of a client that came to you and was struggling, and then kind of like the breakthrough that he or she had?
Yeah, one of my friends, Holly, she is, and you know Holly, she is a multi-seven-figure earner in the online direct marketing space. And she was trying to get to the next level of her business and expand her reach. But one of the things that she was tied to was this old identity of her previous business, where this is who I am, this is how I serve. I guess I'm just kind of stuck here in this bubble. And after doing some mindset work and shifting some beliefs and some stories, we helped her see that she could expand her reach. She ended up starting an entire new branding company and serving people with social media marketing. And it's absolutely incredible. And the list goes on and on and on. I mean, we have literally hundreds of clients that have gone through some similar experience where they had the right tools and they logically knew what to do, but for some reason, the stories in their head weren't allowing them to do it. And so that's what I specialize in. So I'm excited to give that to your audience.
Amazing. I love it. Okay. So Success GPS, can you dive into that? Explain what it is and how we can use it.
Yes, absolutely. So Success GPS, I love hiking. Hiking is like one of my favorite things ever. And every couple of years, my buddies and I go on a road trip where we go to the national parks and we go and we see Yosemite and the Grand Canyon and all this stuff. Well, recently I was on a trip with my buddies back in May, or maybe it was the year before. And we were driving from Grand Canyon to Yosemite. And Yosemite is like my favorite place in the world. There's waterfalls. It's like you're on Pandora from Avatar with Jurassic Park. It's like a whole other world. If you haven't been there, you got to go. And I was on the way there and I was driving in the front seat with my buddy, Jim. And I was like, you know, Jim, these road trips are a lot like success. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, if you're not excited about the national park you're driving to, there's no way you're going to want to drive across the country to get there. And I had this aha moment, and it was like this download of information about how people approach success. And I came up with this entire framework called Success GPS. I'm going to give you an outline of it right now, and it's 3 parts. The first piece of Success GPS. So I live in Chicago, and let's say that I'm
Chi-town.
Chi-town, right? I'm like a quarter mile from Wrigley Field. It's pretty awesome.
Oh, fun.
It's so much fun. And so I live in Chicago, and let's say that I want to plan a road trip to Yosemite National Park. From Chicago to Yosemite, that's like thousands of miles. It's a very long road trip. Now, what's important about, and this is part 1 of Success GPS, is having a compelling destination. Having a compelling destination, because driving from Chicago to Yosemite, which is the equivalent of beauty and aspiration and possibility, that's something that I want to get in the car and drive to. But what most entrepreneurs do is, let's say you're sitting down in your car and you pull up Google Maps. Google Maps needs some information in order for you to drive from point A to point B. So you get in your car and you type in a destination. And this destination needs to be something that you're going to be willing to put in the work to get to. But what most people do, most entrepreneurs do, is they set their GPS pin, their destination, based on the current amount of gas they have in the tank. Meaning they say, well, I only know how to do this much. I only know how to get there. So I'm going to put my GPS pin in a cornfield in the middle of Iowa. Now, no judgment if you find a cornfield in the middle of Iowa, absolutely beautiful. For me, I like waterfalls. So you get the metaphor though. What most people do is they say, well, I can only go 300 miles. That's as far as I can go. So I'm going to set these realistic, toned back goals that are safe. And then what they notice is they get about 30 miles in, they're like, why am I even doing this? And so they go back home to everything they've ever known. And so what we need to do as entrepreneurs, first and foremost, is to have a compelling vision that's so exciting that we don't know how to achieve. Because if your goals and your dreams are things that you actually know how to do, then you're not dreaming big enough, because it doesn't cause you to become more. And you don't set goals for the certainty of attainment. You set goals so you can become a bigger person. And so we need that GPS destination that we type in to be so exciting that you're willing to fill up the tank multiple times. You're willing to try different routes, try different things, and do whatever it takes to get there. That's the first piece. And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs go wrong, is they dream too small. And people say to me all the time, but Brad, I haven't hit this smaller goal. Why would I set a bigger goal? And the reason you haven't hit a smaller goal, if that is you, is because the goal doesn't excite you. It doesn't motivate you to actually do anything. And so we need to set a goal that literally causes our heart to beat a little bit faster, that causes our entire state to change. And when we do that, it's the equivalent of typing in Yosemite into your GPS, packing up your hiking gear, and getting excited about driving. That's number 1. Does that make sense, my friend?
Totally. How do we create that exciting vision and not get overwhelmed by it? Because sometimes, like, I'm just thinking back to me when I was in, network marketing. I saw people that were making $1 million from the business, and I could not mentally compute that that was a possibility for me at the time. And so my first goal was like, I just want to make $500 a week. Like that, it seems realistic and stretchy to me because I was never an entrepreneur. And I was like, I don't know how I would do that. And then when I hit it, I was like, all right, now let's do $1,000 a week. And then when I hit that, I was like, let's do $2,000 a week. And I kept upping it. But when, like, I was 23 when I first started, no entrepreneurial experience, for me to be like, I'm going to be a millionaire, like my brain couldn't like actually see that. So can you speak into that?
Yes, absolutely. 2 things. The first thing is, what most people do is they see what other people have and they think they should set the same goals that other people have. And
absolutely.
Like, I need to be at that rank, or I need to be at that income, or I need to be there. But it's not other people's goals that we should be setting. It's our goals, what our heart really wants. Because if it's ours, we'll do whatever it takes to get there. But when, especially in the network marketing space, I see this all the time, where people will be told what their goals and dreams in life should be. And so then those goals and dreams aren't even in alignment with what they want most. And so they don't get excited about it. That's the first thing. The second thing is letting go of attachment. What I see a lot of the times happening is that we base our worth on the outcome.
Totally.
So if a launch goes well, or if a funnel does well, then we are great. If a launch fails, or if a funnel fails, then we suck. right? That's what we link up in our mind. That's attachment. It's you are your results.
Yes.
And so what we need to do is we need to realize that your results don't dictate your character.
Right.
Like, you're worthy, you've been worthy, you'll always be worthy. Your results are just data. And so we need to detach from the outcome. And I have an opportunity for you guys at the end of this that will show you how to do that. But we need to detach from the outcome. And detachment means it's not that you should own nothing, it's that nothing should own you.
Yes.
And that's detachment. So I think those are the two things that get in the way of people dreaming big. It needs to be your vision, not someone else's.
Yep. I think the second part of what you said was really powerful. And I know that's something that I personally struggled with for a long time, because I thought like I was my results, basically, of like, I'm worthy because I'm successful and I'm getting these results. And I even like took it to the point of like, I would be talking to my dad about, and he'd ask me like, oh, how much are you making in your business? Cause he's a business owner too. And I'd tell him, and he'd be like, I'm so proud of you. How much did you do? And so I equated like his love for me and his pride for me based off the results I was getting in my business, which was absolutely not true. And so I had to work through that as well. So I think this is really important. Okay, continue.
Yes. And that's actually a great segue into part 2 of Success GPS. Mm-hmm. Because when you type in a destination, the only way for Google Maps to know how to drive there is to know your current location. Mm-hmm. And so GPS needs to know that I exist in Chicago. It needs to know my exact place if it's going to chart a course to get from here to that vision. So let's say that you've identified that compelling vision. What most people do, what most entrepreneurs do, is they actually create stories about where they're at, mm-hmm. instead of looking at where they're at objectively. Mm-hmm. And so let's say, for example, that I'm making this up, that you make $2,000 a month in sales and that you have 14 clients and that you just launched your first funnel. What a lot of entrepreneurs do is they put a meaning to that, right? That is good, or that is bad, or I'm not there, or I should be further. And what that's doing is it's taking the objective reality of where we're actually at and telling Google Maps we're in a different location. Mm-hmm. It's saying, so if we look at where we're at and we're saying, no, that's not good, that's bad, it's telling GPS we're actually back in upstate New York. And when Google Maps charts a course from upstate New York to Yosemite, we get super confused because it's saying turn left on Johnson Street. And you're like, where the hell is Johnson Street? I don't know where that is.
Right.
And so we need to be honest with ourselves about where we're at and not assign meaning to where we're at. We need an objective view of our current situation because we are the cause of our life. And then most people look at their life and what the circumstances, and they make up a meaning and they focus on the effect. And if you focus on the effect of your life, meaning how big your business is, what's happening in your relationships, the money in your account, and assigning meaning to that, then you're forgetting the cause. And the cause is how you're living in the moment, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And when you forget the cause, then you can't influence the effect. It's kind of like money. If you obsess over how much money you do or don't have, then you're focused on the effect, which is the money. You're not focused on the cause, which is your emotional state, your vibrancy. And if you focus on the effect, you forget the cause, you don't influence the effect. And so we need to take a look at where we are objectively and not assign meaning to it, knowing that this is our starting point. This is exactly where we are at. That is neither good nor bad, it just is. And when we look at it objectively, then we can actually chart a course to get from Chicago to Yosemite instead of thinking we're back in upstate New York, or lying to ourselves that we're further along than we are. What a lot of people will do is say or make up stories about how their business is further along than it really is. And so they're telling GPS, I'm actually in Western Illinois instead of Chicago. And so GPS is the same thing. So we just need to be honest and objective about where we're at and not make it mean that we are enough or not enough based on where that is. It just is our starting point. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Sweet. That's number 2. Number 2. Let's move on to number 3. Because these first 2 things are the start that stops most people, right? Most entrepreneurs don't have a compelling vision of the future. Right. They have a vision of the future based on what someone else says they should want or what they currently think they're capable of. So let's say that we fix that. Let's say that we create an amazing vision that makes you become more. Then let's say we are honest with ourselves about where we're at. We're not making up stories. We're just honest. This is where our objective reality is. So now we have what Google Maps needs. We have a destination, a compelling destination that you're willing to drive across the country for, and a true starting point. The third piece of Success GPS is enjoying the ride. It's actually enjoying the trip all the way across the country to that national park. Because what a lot of people do is they base their happiness on getting there. And so what that means is they're going to be miserable the entire time. And the metaphor to go along with this, and I see this all the time, entrepreneurs will say it's all about the journey, but then they're pissed off that they didn't land a client, right? Which is not being about the journey. And I'm guilty of that too. Everyone is. But we need to realign with the best version of ourselves. Because if we think about this journey from Chicago to Yosemite, that's a long journey. And there's a lot of twists and turns and changes that go into that. For example, when you back out of your garage, that feels like you're going the wrong direction because you're going backwards when you start. Then you're going to get to stop signs and left turns and right turns. There's speed bumps. But what most entrepreneurs do is they expect it to be 90 miles an hour one way all the way there. They expect it to be just full pedal to the metal. But there are times when you're learning and you have to go over those speed bumps and get to those stop signs. And then let's say you get out of the city, you're going to need to stop to pee. It's important that you pee.
Right.
And so you're going to need to pull over and take a break and recharge your batteries along the way. You're going to need to stop to eat. You're going to need to stop to refuel. And so what I mean by refuel, I mean, getting that coach, getting that mentor, going to that seminar, refueling your energy to be able to keep driving across that country. And then you're going to be on this trip. And you're going to notice that there are parts of this trip where you're just like in a city. There are parts when it's like an open plain and you're going 70 miles an hour, and there's different speed limits. At some parts of your journey, it's going to be 20 miles an hour. And if you say, no, I'm going 70 and a 20, you're going to run someone over and kill them. And there's going to be parts of your journey when it's 70 miles an hour. And if you go slower in that speed zone, you're hurting your success. You're slowing down. You're probably going to get a ticket. It's going to take you even longer. But we expect the speed limit to be the exact same the whole way there. It's going to be different. And then you're going to notice that there's different topography, right? Sometimes it's going to be a straight shot. There are going to be parts in your journey when you have to slam down in that gas pedal just to keep the same speed going up over a mountain. And then there's going to be parts of that journey where you're going downhill. On the other side of that mountain, you don't even need to touch the gas pedal and you're able to accelerate. And then you're going to get to these parts of your journey where all of a sudden there's going to be construction, where a five-lane highway narrows down into one. And there's going to be a traffic backup, and it's going to be slower than you expected. And in that moment, you have a couple options. You can either be pissed off that you're not going as fast as you quote unquote should be, or you can play Taylor Swift. You get to choose whatever you do in that moment. But the point is that we need to actually enjoy this ride, because then we're going to get to parts of this journey where all of a sudden there's different weather. There are going to be parts when it's raining, and it's mostly safe to drive in the rain, but there are parts of your journey when it starts downpouring, and you need to evaluate as an entrepreneur, is it safer for me to pull over right now and take a minute? This might be the loss of a loved one or something significant going on in your life. And that's okay. It's all part of the journey. There's going to be parts when it's snowy and it's slick. Then there's going to be this amazing moment on your journey when you're going on your expected route that you thought you should be on. Everything's going to be going according to plan. And all of a sudden, you're going to get this thing that pops up on Google Maps that says faster route available. And you have a choice in that moment. You can choose to stay with what you've known, or you can choose to listen to the faster route, that pull in your heart that says you're meant to do this. You're meant to go that direction. Whatever your choice is, that's okay. It's all about the ride, and you'll eventually get to that destination if you are enjoying it. If you're not enjoying it, you're not going to want to drive across the country. But what matters even more than all of that is who's in the car with you. Because if you love hiking and the people in your car do not like hiking, that's going to be a miserable road trip. So when you get there, you're going to be exhausted, not even want to do it, or you're going to turn around and go home. And if you do all this the right way, meaning you realize that this is all part of the entrepreneurial roller coaster that you're going to go through, and you have that compelling vision, you're honest about where you're at, and you truly enjoy the ride and are open to all these different speed limits and stop signs and all that stuff, then you eventually get to Yosemite and you're excited to go hiking, and you get to the top of that waterfall or that summit or whatever it is, and you celebrate how far you've come and you enjoy the destination. Instead of your road trip being just about the destination, it becomes about the road trip and the destination. And then you get to the top of that and you ask yourself, where are we going to go next? Because you realize you're capable of so much more. And what's amazing is that you can probably do it in a faster car the next time. Because you have all this experience. So that, my friend, is Success GPS. That's how entrepreneurs need to learn to go about success faster.
I love it. I like, as you were talking about the faster route available, it literally made me think of yesterday. I had the decision to invest in bringing on, like, hiring a sales company and it's, like an $18,000 investment. So it's not cheap, but I also, like, they came highly recommended. They work with Tony Robbins and all these things. And after I talked to them, I'm like, this is what we need to be able to get to that next level, to go faster. And so was it a big, like, no matter where you are in your business, $18,000 still a lot of money, like, is a big investment. And I was like, okay, like, this is the next level for what we're going to do, so we can help more people and make a greater impact. So I love all of it. I love it all. And I love how it's about the journey, because you'll never be quote unquote successful. Like, you'll never really feel it. Like, you see, like, once I hit 6 figures, once I hit $1 million, then I'll be successful. No, you'll hit it and be like, I don't really feel successful yet. What's that next thing? And so it really is all about the journey and appreciating it and loving every minute of it.
And I would even argue that if we base our success on a destination, then absolutely we'll be saying, I don't feel successful yet.
Yep.
But if we're enjoying the journey, then we feel successful no matter where we are.
Yeah.
And so it's just a different way of looking at business. And I think that if we are attached, like we talked about earlier, that'll slow us down from everything. It'll make us miserable the whole way. So we have plenty of ways for people to learn how to do that, but that is just a framework that I've been working on for the last couple of years, and it's served a ton of people. So I want to share it with you guys.
I love it. Okay, you have a challenge coming up. Can you talk to us about that?
I can do that. So if you're anything like the people that I work with, you're probably looking at this going, well, that makes logical sense, but how the heck do I do it? How do I craft a compelling vision that is so exciting, that's in alignment with my heart and what I want, not what other people are telling me, something that's big for me, that excites me? How do I be honest about where I'm at when I have bills to pay and kids to feed, and it's not going the way that I want it to go, or it's not going as fast as I want it to go, and I should be somewhere else? And how do I actually enjoy the journey of becoming or getting to that next step? And so after working with now over 10,000 people from literally all over the world, we've noticed that there are patterns that help people do these things. And so I took the last 9 years of my entrepreneurial journey, everything that has helped us go from $92,000 in debt to a multi-7-figure business, and boiled it into a 10-day challenge. It's called the Success Accelerator. And what it is, it's going to show you how high performers achieve their goals so much faster than all their peers, with so much less stress, and not spending more and more hours adding more to your plate doing it. We're going to show you the how to everything we talked about in this episode, so that literally within these 10 days, you'll feel more success, more vibrancy than you have in years. And it's a way to shrink a decade of education down into just a couple of days, so you can grow and achieve whatever your dreams, and make all these funnels that you've been learning about work for you, because you're going to be in the right energetic state, the right mindset to apply it to your life. Does that make sense?
Totally.
That is the Success Accelerator. We start on February 21st. Registration doors open. Are open right now this week. So make sure you guys go and register. So we start on February 21st all the way through March 2nd. It's live in a private Facebook group. You get access to me and all of our support team. You're going to be in there with thousands of other people. And guys, Rachel has the link to be able to enroll in that.
Yeah. So we'll put it in the description for this podcast, but you can also just go to rachelandgom.com/Brad Challenge. rachelandgom.com/Brad challenge. And you can literally do that as you're listening. So you can just swipe up, go to that link, register, because as Brad is still dancing and drinking out of his entire blender. Oh my gosh, I can't even with you.
Gotta get my nutrients.
Gotta get your nutrients in. This guy is high energy and he has so much to offer. And I know I'll be registering for the challenge and I highly suggest you do that too. So Brad, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me.